NASCAR is a team sport like many other professional sporting leagues around the world. Teams in NASCAR are unique in that they sometimes have multiple teams under their umbrella competing against each other. Imagine if the Yankees fielded 2 MLB teams, or the Packers had 2 NFL teams. In the sport's 75-year history, we have seen many teams come and go. Some are new to the scene, and others have been around for over 70 years. Hi, I'm your host Matt, and this is NASCAR Team History, presented by Dogleg Media. In this series, we look to tell the stories of the different teams in our sport's history. We will explore a wide range of topics in respect to the history of each team, when they entered NASCAR, their drivers, numbers, and overall legacy. We also include memorable moments from you, the viewer. Today we explore the oldest active team in NASCAR history, Wood Brothers Racing. But with that intro out of the way, let's dive into some more NASCAR team history. We have finally hit the longest running team in NASCAR history. I can already tell that I will miss things. This team is so history rich that in order to touch on everything, it would take days. That's why I love having you guys around. Make sure to fill in the gaps. Let's discuss these basics for the Wood Brothers. The team was founded in 1950, over 70 years ago. The team has 99 total wins with 18 different drivers. And surprisingly, they've never won a championship, but we'll get to that soon. Wood Brothers Racing was founded by Glenn and Leonard Wood. They drew inspiration to start their team from a racing legend, Curtis Turner, and funny enough, Curtis would eventually drive and win for the team. And as we just discussed, the team was founded in 1950. While this is true, the team wouldn't enter NASCAR competition until 1953. The team's first ever race would happen at Morris Speedway, which is close to Martinsville, Virginia. This was a hometown track for the team owners Glenn and Leonard Wood, as they would grow up in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. In the team's first go, Glenn drove, and was running well until about halfway through the race, where there was a crash in front of him that ultimately collected him in the carnage. 3 years later, after running local circuits, the Wood Brothers would enter their first NASCAR Cup Series race, at their hometown track of Martinsville. Glenn was the driver, and this first NASCAR start didn't end too promising, finishing 30th. They would run one other race in 1953, at Raleigh, with Glenn as the driver as well. The team wouldn't enter any NASCAR events in 1954, and would only enter one race in 1955 and 1956. 1957 would see 8 races ran by Wood Brothers in NASCAR, with Glenn running 6 of the events and Jimmy Massey running the other 2. Massey would also record the team's first top 5, a second place finish at Martinsville that season. In his other start that season, he would finish 10th at North Wilkesboro. And you probably also noticed that the Wood Brothers have never won a championship. And yes, it is certainly surprising, but there is a reason for that, however. While yes, Wood Brothers Racing is the oldest still running team in NASCAR at the moment, they didn't run a full season from start to finish until 1985 with Kyle Petty. Glenn and Leonard started by focusing on the higher paying larger track events and left the lower paying short tracks to the competition. To give you a glimpse into their dominance, however, David Pearson would miss 11 of the 30 races during the 1974 season and still finish 3rd in the standings. He would win 7 times that season and recorded 8 additional top 5s running just 19 events. And now with the origins out of the way, let's get to that long list of winners for Wood Brothers Racing. This will be fun. And we start this list of winners off with Glenn Wood. I wanted to go in order of total wins with the team, but how can we start this list of winners off with someone other than one of the founders? Glenn won 4 times for his own team, and wildly enough, all 4 of these wins would come at the same track, Bowman Gray Stadium. Another accolade that Glenn has with the team is he was the first driver to bring Wood Brothers Racing to victory lane, and honestly it shouldn't have been anyone else. 3 of Wood's 4 wins would come in 1960, with him earning his 4th and final career victory the next year in 1961. The impact on and off the racetrack that Glenn Wood had on our sport is immense, and that is why he was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2012. A team founded in 1950 to still be running today is incredible, and a lot of that credit goes to him. Heck, without Glenn Wood, I wouldn't be recording this video right now, so thanks Glenn. And alright, now we will start going in order of total wins with the team, and we have another legend of the sport. The Silver Fox, David Pearson, leads all drivers in Wood Brothers history with 43 total wins. And honestly, when you think of the history of the Wood brothers, you more than likely think of Pearson. He would drive the Wood brothers' famous 21 from 1972 until 1979, and he got his tenure with the team started out in a big way. He would win his very first start with the team at Darlington in 1972, and a lot of teams and fans thought that Pearson was past his prime when he joined the team at 37 years old. Man, that couldn't have been farther from the truth. In an 8-year stretch, they would win 43 races together, and even pulled off one of the toughest feats in the sport in 1976 by winning the Triple Crown. This season would see Pearson's only Daytona 500 win, and it was an instant classic of a finish. He and rival Richard Petty would beat and bang all the way to the line, with both cars crashing and Pearson getting the win. Pearson and the Wood brothers would dominate in their time together, winning an astounding 30% of races entered. Think about that for a minute. Running 143 total races in an 8-year stretch, to have a 30% win rate is unheard of. And this was during the modern era of NASCAR. Their dominance was so great, in fact, that they were invited to the White House by Jimmy Carter, which was unprecedented for the time. David Pearson is a Rushmore driver of our sport, being second all-time in terms of wins with 105. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011, the second ever class. There is so much to the David Pearson arc at Wood Brothers Racing, and there is no way I could touch on all of it. So be sure to let me know some of your favorite Pearson stories down below. Next, we have another legend of the sport, Kellyarboro. You will notice a pretty massive drop-off in the number of wins, as Kel would have 13 wins with the team and is second all-time. Up until David Pearson, the team really didn't keep one driver around for the entirety of their season, which is why there have been 18 different winners in their time. Heck, 20 of the 75 greatest drivers have drove for the Wood brothers. Kel would run with the team from 1966 until 1970. He would win some pretty massive races with the team as well. He would win the Daytona 500 and the Southern 500 in 1968 with the team. They would partner for 78 total races, which gave the combo a near 17% win rate. And another cool stat is that he would win the first ever race at Michigan International Speedway with the team in 1969. Kel is an 83-time winner in the Cup Series, and is yet another Hall of Famer to drive for the famous Wood brothers, being inducted in 2012. After Kel, we have Neil Bonnet. One of the members of the fabled Alabama gang, Bonnet would take over the ride after Pearson's would leave the team. Neil ran 83 races for the Wood brothers, from 1979 until the end of the 1982 season. In this time, Bonnet would win 9 times, including the 1981 Southern 500 and the 1982 World 600. It would also be during the Bonnet years that longtime sponsor Purolator would leave the team, marking the end of one of the longest and most synonymous relationships in the sport. National Engineer would step in as the sponsor, and at the time this was one of the richest sponsor deals in the sport. Bonnet is an 18-time winner in the Cup Series, and half of those wins would come behind the wheel of the Wood brothers 21. This wouldn't be Bonnet's only stint with the team, as he would come back in the 90s. However, he would be involved in a scary crash at Darlington, and would have his seat taken by Dell Jarrett, who we'll get to a little bit later on. And now we have Marvin Panch, another one of NASCAR's 75 greatest. He would run with the Wood brothers from 1962 until 1966. During their time together, Panch would win 8 times in just 69 races with the team. While there weren't any crown jewel wins in this time, he would be extremely consistent, with a top 10 rate just under 50% and a win rate of 12%. For one of his wins, however, he wouldn't be the driver to cross the finish line first. He would start the Atlanta 500 in 1965, but would have AJ Foyt finish the race. Where Panch started the race, he was credited with the win. And here's another cool story surrounding Panch. He would be involved in a fiery crash at Daytona testing for a supercars race before the Daytona 500, and was pulled out of the car and to safety by fellow driver Tiny Lunn. Panch wouldn't be able to run the Daytona 500 due to injury that year, and he asked Lunn in the hospital if he would take the ride, so Lunn would fill in for him. Tiny would end up winning the Daytona 500 in Panch's car, and that's pretty incredible. We'll touch on Tiny a little bit later on. Marvin is a 17-time winner in the Cup Series, with nearly half of those wins coming with the Wood brothers. And here's another motorsports legend, AJ Foyt. AJ would only make 13 starts with the Wood brothers, and he made the most out of his time with the team. His first win with them would come in 1965. During his second ever start, he would win at Daytona in an odd number for the Wood brothers, the 41. He wouldn't partner with the team again until 1971, where he would run 4 races that season, winning twice, at Ontario and Atlanta. 1972 would see the pinnacle of his time in the Cup Series, winning the Daytona 500, joining Elite Company as a driver to win the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500. He would also win his final Cup Series race with the team, winning at Ontario that same season. I personally think AJ should be considered as a Rushmore Motorsports driver. He's a 7-time champion of the IndyCar Series, a 4-time Indy 500 winner, and a 7-time winner in the Cup Series with a Daytona 500 win. He is on the Hall of Fame ballot for NASCAR, and I hope he gets inducted soon. If I had a vote, I know I would vote for him. Alright, you triple-digit lovers, this one's for you. I heard y'all during the number history series regarding the absence of triple-digit numbers, and while I'm still working it out, here's a taste. Dan Gurney would win 4 times with the Wood brothers in the 121 car. A wild stat about Gurney's time with the Wood brothers, he only ever made 4 starts with the team. That's right, he had a perfect 4-for-4 record, all coming at Riverside. This pairing was unbeatable, literally. Gurney was a dedicated IndyCar and Formula 1 driver, and this gave the Cup competition fits at Riverside. Gurney won 5 total times in NASCAR. All of these wins would come at Riverside, and 4 of the 5 wins would come with the Wood brothers. And we aren't even halfway done with this list of winners. I told y'all this would be a marathon. Speedy Thompson is next on the list, and he would be the 2nd driver to ever win with the Wood brothers. Speedy would win back-to-back races to start his tenure with the team in 1960, winning at Charlotte and Richmond. He would then finish 4th in his 3rd start with the team. He would only make 1 more race with the team, in 1961 at Charlotte, finishing 11th. A 50% win rate with the team isn't too shabby. Thompson would ultimately be a 20-time winner in the Cup Series, and for him to be absent from the 75 greatest drivers list is a big mistake in my opinion. Alright. Now we are halfway, and we've made it to Kyle Petty. This is a weird part of Wood Brothers history. Due to sponsorship obligations with new sponsor 7-Eleven, they would relinquish their historic 21 car in favor of the 7. This decision led to major backlash amongst fans of the program, and honestly I can't blame them. This number change only lasted for 2 seasons however, with the team bringing back the 21 in 1987. We also mentioned previously that 1985 would be the first time in program history that they would run every single race of a season with a dedicated driver. Petty would stay with the team from 1985 until 1988. In this time, he would win twice, with his win at Richmond in 1986 being the first of his career. His last win with the team came in 1987 at the World 600 Crown Jewel event at Charlotte. It was pretty unique to see a Petty at Wood brothers, as traditionally the two were fierce competitors on the track. And now we enter a long list of one-time winners with the team, starting with Hall of Famer Dell Jarrett. And much like Kyle Petty, Jarrett would grab his first career win with the Wood brothers in 1991 at Michigan. This win was one of the closest finishes in NASCAR history, narrowly beating Donnie Allison for the win. Dell would run 2 seasons with the Wood brothers, with 1991 being his only full season with the team. Jarrett would get his start with the team in 1990 after Neil Bonnet was seriously injured in a crash at Darlington previously mentioned. He would be lured away from the team by Joe Gibbs to start their Cup Series program, and well, we know how that ended up going. And the Hall of Famers keep on coming. This time it's Buddy Baker. Baker and the Wood brothers had a very short stint together, but this didn't prevent Baker from getting a win with the storied franchise. Baker would run for the team in 1983 and 1984, with his lone win coming in 1983 at Daytona. For the most part, the team would struggle, which was unlike the Wood brothers. And geez, another Hall of Famer, and it's also the guy who inspired the Wood brothers to start their team, Curtis Turner. This is an incredible story, as Curtis was the driving force behind Glenn and Leonard Wood starting the team. He would win in the 41 car at Rockingham during the 1965 season. This win is significant, as it was Turner's last Cup Series victory. A Hall of Fame inductee in the class of 2016, Curtis Turner is a big part of the Wood brothers' story, and Glenn and Leonard gave him a car capable of winning. What a relationship that was. And how about 4 Hall of Famers in a row? This is a new addition to the Hall of Fame, as Donnie Allison would grab a lone win with the team as well. Donnie would make 11 starts in the 21 for Wood Brothers in 1971. His lone win would come at Talladega that season, in just his third start with the team. Donnie is also a part of the famous Alabama gang, and is the brother of NASCAR legend Bobby Allison. With his induction into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2024, it makes the who's who list of Wood Brothers drivers that much stronger. Well, the Hall of Famer streak is gone, but this time we have someone who was awarded the Carnegie Heroes Medal. We talked about him previously, it's Tiny Lunn. So yeah, we already know that Lunn would take Panch's ride for the 1963 Daytona 500 and pull off a miraculous win. And man, this was a wild way to win the Daytona 500 too. It was a fuel mileage race, and with 3 laps to go, leader Dell Jarrett would run out of fuel. This would allow Tiny to grab the lead. On the final lap, Lunn too would run out of gas, but he had a large enough lead to coast to victory and win the Daytona 500. Lunn would receive the Carnegie Heroes Medal for his heroic actions in taking Panch out of the fireball that was his car during a test session for a sports car race. This was a cool piece of history to research, yet another reason why I love doing this series. Here's a cool name that doesn't get mentioned a lot, but Morgan Shepard would get one of his 4 career wins with the Wood Brothers. Shepard's only win for the team was a historic one for different reasons. It would come at Atlanta in 1993. This was a race that was delayed for 6 days because of a snowstorm that happened the previous weekend. Aside from this lone win, the team and Shepard ran very consistently in his time with the car from 1992 until 1995. I always liked Morgan Shepard, and I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. And how about we move to a more recent win for the team? And here's another fact. The remainder of the drivers on this list would net their first Cup Series win with the team. We start with Elliot Sadler. Sadler would drive for the Wood Brothers from 1999 until 2002. His lone win came at Bristol in 2001. And want to know what's crazy about this win? It was the first and still to this day only win at Bristol for the team. Don't believe me? I don't blame you. I checked 5 different sources and spent a lot of time fact checking this, but it's true. This is mostly because the majority of their time as a team they skipped short tracks and focused on the larger tracks with the higher payouts. And we've hit the penultimate driver for this one. And man, I know a lot of us remember this win. Trevor Bayne would win the Daytona 500 a day after his 20th birthday in 2011 with the team. This win would break a nearly decade-old drought for the team as well. This also made Bayne the youngest winner in Daytona 500 history at just 20 years and 1 day old. And to make this story even crazier, it was just his second ever Cup Series race. I wish I could say this hot start would translate to more success down the road, but unfortunately this win would be the only of his Cup Series career. Regardless of the lack of success after, this was an incredible moment in Wood Brothers history. And now let's cap this list off with another Cup Series champion to win for the Wood Brothers. If I had made this video a week ago, I couldn't have said that, but man, it feels great to say it. Ryan Blaney is the most recent winner for the Wood Brothers, with his win in 2017 at Pocono. How cool is it that the guy who just won the Cup Series championship got their first career win with the Wood Brothers? It shows that the team still has a knack for hiring future superstars. Blaney would run for the Wood Brothers from 2015 until 2017, completing 2 full-time seasons in 2016 and 2017. He would make the playoffs in 2017 with his win, and would even make it to the round of 8, which was a massive accomplishment for the team. Sure, Blaney would ultimately make the move to Penske in 2018, and the rest is history, but he would get his beginnings at the famous Wood Brothers Racing. Now let's move to the current state of the team and how the future looks. The current state of the Wood Brothers isn't exactly ideal, and certainly doesn't hold up to the standards of the old Wood Brothers. Harrison Burton is the current driver of the famous 21 ride, and in his first 2 full-time seasons in the Cup Series, he has been far from stellar. He has finishes of 27th and 31st respectively in the points. In 72 races with the team, he has managed only 1 top 5, coming at the Indy Road Course his rookie season. Harrison was a promising prospect in the Xfinity Series, winning 4 races his rookie year with Joe Gibbs and finishing 8th in the standings both years. He brings phenomenal funding from Dex Imaging, but how long will that carry him with the results being seen on the track? Even if they wanted to go a different direction, who would they realistically put in the seat? I am hopeful that the Wood Brothers can regain even a small piece of their former glory. I think a competitive Wood Brothers is good for the sport. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on what needs to happen for them to turn things around. And now let's move to memorable moments from you, the viewer. Pib brings up a great point. They mentioned Michael Waltrip winning the 1996 Winston Select. For those confused by that name, the Winston Select was the original name of the All-Star race. So while Mikey never won a points race with the team, he did manage to win the All-Star race, and he was the first driver to ever win it by transferring from the open race. This is a great mention. Thanks, Pib. And then Finley from Discord mentioned an incredible moment as well. They mentioned the 1965 Indy 500 that was won by the Wood Brothers pit crew. This is cool for a couple of different reasons. Number one, well, it's the Indy 500, and it was won by a NASCAR team's pit crew. Secondly, the Wood Brothers literally revolutionized the pit stop. Prior to the innovations made by Glenn and Leonard Wood, teams would bring their car in for service, and a lot of the time the driver would even get out of the car to have a drink or even smoke. The Wood Brothers saw the amount of wasted time for servicing the car and invented what is now the modern pit stop. Ford noticed this and asked the team to service their Lotus Ford team in the Indy 500. This reduction in service time allowed Jim Clark to win that year's Indy 500. This is an awesome piece of history. Thanks, Finley. And that'll do it for Wood Brothers Racing. Like I said, this is just the surface of Wood Brothers history. I wanted to at least hit every winner ever, and sure, that tells a lot of the story. However, as always, I'm prone to forgetting drivers and moments. Let me know anything I may have missed for the Wood Brothers down below. Next time, we look at one of the relatively newer teams to NASCAR, Stewart-Haas Racing. That one will have a lot of fond memories attached to it, especially with a certain someone retiring this season. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. It helps a ton and I definitely appreciate it. And did you know that 71% of my viewers aren't subscribed, but they are returning viewers? If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? And as always, I want to thank the Dogleg team for all of their incredible work. Darksea, Dice, Christian, Chili, Elite, and The Gamer, y'all help make the channel and community a better place. And we also have a Discord server. Find the invite in the About section of the channel or in the description below. We share our silly season picks, merch collections, race reaction, exclusive contests, and so much more over there. We'd love to have you. Come join us. We have over 170 members, and it's a party every single day. You don't want to miss it. But that'll do it for us here at Dogleg Media. I'm Matt, your host, and you've been watching NASCAR Team History. I'll see you next time.